Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quin Amorm.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Quinn here, and I want to start the podcast from now on with a little something about myself. Maybe something you didn't know about me, and something personal I want to share, and then I jump into talking about Amazon or whatever e-commerce techniques that you want to discuss. So here it is. I used to own a fast food restaurant. When I was, I believe, maybe 17, I was finishing my accounting in, high school. See, it's been so long ago that I couldn't even remember the word high school. So in high school, I studied in Europe, in Portugal, and grade 10, 11, and 12, you decide what you're going to do for the future. And because I didn't care too much about studies, I asked my sister, and she decided for me, and she enrolled me into accounting, economics, and financial calculation. So for somebody that didn't like math, that made a lot of sense to me. Of course, that's sarcasm. But at the age of 17, I wanted to, I'm done with grade 12, 17, 18. I didn't want to continue studying anymore. I wanted to be a business person. My mom was a business person. She had a bunch of stores. I wanted a fast food restaurant that was local in my town. And anyway, I ended up getting it. And I started, running that business, which I did for several years. And then I ended up selling it. And it did teach me a lot of lessons. One of them was that I wasn't ready because, what I would do was there was some days that I would make a lot of money. And all that money would go in my pocket because I was the 17, 18-year-old that at the time all I wanted was motorcycles. I had a few crotch rockets, and I would, like racing them in town, on highways, everywhere, in public places where I shouldn't. And then all my money would go for motorcycles, beer, and tickets. So anyway, that was it. I used to have fast food restaurants. We would make a lot of rotisserie chickens was like the number one, and pizzas to go. Anyway, now that I'm thinking about it and remembering those times, it was kind of a cool thing to have. I actually had a cook that was like my boss. She would tell me what to do and when to do it, and I had to obey because she was really good at what she did. But man, oh man, what a character. So anyway, let's talk about Amazon, and I want to tell you something that came up on a conversation today with somebody on Facebook. It was about the size of the images. So we were talking about the main image and how some people have on the thumbnail images show up bigger than others. So I've talked about that before, and we all know that if you want the thumbnail of your main image to show up big, you need to remove all the empty space around your product in that image. So if you have the image of your product and has a nice pure white background, you don't want that white to be over the size of the product, right? So the product is right in the middle of your picture. You want to get rid of all the white space around it. So make the picture of the product only, no empty space. That makes your thumbnail look a lot bigger, okay? That is the technique to increase the thumbnail of your image. Now, when people open your listing, now all the images that you have will start to populate. And one of the things that came up on that conversation was the size of the images. And there was somebody very happy to announce that their images, they've been using 5,000 pixels by 5,000 pixels. In my opinion, that's insane. And I'm going to explain why. So Amazon recommends that you have over 1,000 by 1,000. And yes, that's because if you have an image that's over 1,000 pixels by 1,000, it activates a feature that allows people to zoom in and have a look at your image a little bit closer. Now, if you go to something like that other person had 5,000 by 5,000, Amazon has a safety feature. It's for SEO purposes. It's called lazy loading. What lazy loading does is when you open any page on the internet, lazy loading opens the things that are important first and holds back resources to open those. So holds back, for example, your main image. It will open blurred, right? It will be blurred for first few seconds while all the others are opening and the text and your enhanced content, all of that is opening. Your main image is blurred. So since about 80% of people browsing the internet are doing it from a mobile device, some of those mobile devices at the time of the browsing are not connected to the internet. So you know that the person that is on a cell phone has an internet connection that could be 3 megabytes per second, 6 or 10 megabytes per second, right? Nobody has 100 megabytes or 200 megabytes. So when they open that image on their phone, it could take a good 20 seconds for the image to load. And let me tell you right now, the 20 seconds, you will lose a lot of customers. So if you have a 5,000 by 5,000 image, have a look at your conversion rate. See how many people clicked on that, and then see how many left without buying your product. So my advice is lower the pixels of your main image or all your images to about a square size of 2000 by 2000, because for one, square is easier to remove the excess empty space from the background. It's also Amazon's preferred, the way that the page is designed is for square images. And the 2000 pixels allows a cell phone that's not connected to a Wi-Fi to open the image a little bit quicker. And now the visitor actually gets to see your real image. They don't get to see the blurred version. So if you've ever browsed the internet with a cell phone, which I believe everybody has, you may have noticed that before. Sometimes even in a computer, if you're connected to your internet at home with a Wi-Fi and you may be not too close to the router, or you're inside a room that with the door closed and maybe your Wi-Fi connection is not as strong as in the living room, you may have noticed that before, that it will take a few seconds for some of the images to be fully open and with all the quality with all the pixels exposed. So that is my advice. I try to keep mine between 1500 and 2000 pixels per side. And then of course, not all images can be square. Sometimes you have to have a rectangle, but it is what it is. But one of the main things that you have to focus on is try to get rid of the empty space around your image. And then the other one is make sure that you remember not everybody has 500 megabyte per second internet, right? Some people have, even at home, a lot less than that. So be considerate of those, and remember that just because they have a weak internet connection doesn't mean that they have a weak visa, right? And you want those sales and you want those conversions. So try to optimize your images the best you can, and never just trust my word or anybody's word. Do your own testing, right? If you have 4,000 by 4,000 images, check your conversion rate, write it down, and then test. Then do a 2,000 by 2,000, let it go for a week, measure the results, and see what the conversion rate of the before and after was. And then if it worked, there you go. Just in either case, let me know. Go to QASellingOnline.com. Click on the contact form. Let me know what happened. Did it work for you? Did it not work? Or what you think about it? Either way, always contact me. Remember, start grateful, stay positive, and always profit.